I've come to understand recently through experiences that people are in leadership positions not because they are good leaders, but because they're successful. I don't think that's the same thing, right? In order for you to be able to be a leader of a team, that means that you have to care about your team. That means that you have to have goals, not just for yourself, not just for your, let's say, department or for your project or whatever it is, but for your team, meaning their growth, their trajectory, where they want to end up, what they're doing, how they're performing. And I've come across a lot of people in leadership positions that don't necessarily have that for their team. And I think that's unfortunate because there's a lot of good people that are in bad leadership. I've always cared about where the people around me are going, what their goals are, what they're good at, what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are and how they can be better. Um, and so just as much as I care about my personal growth, I've always cared about the growth of those around me because I feel like if you uplift the people around you, they're going to uplift you. It's a circle. And look at where we are, so after many years. So it's just one of those things that, like, if you don't care about the growth and the support and the ecosystem and the community that you build around you, it's like you're going to constantly be walking alone. And I don't want that. And it's not even, if it's not even as selfish as that, it's like I don't want that for myself. I genuinely just want other people to succeed and be successful at what they want to do. I don't want to equate happiness with success because sometimes you can be professional success or not success in general. Because sometimes you can be truly happy and you might not necessarily be where you want to be professionally, right? And sometimes you may be where you want to be professionally, but you're not necessarily happy. So, or you may be very successful, but not necessarily happy. So, I have, there's many points in my life where I have said, I'm doing something that seems amazing, but I'm not enjoying doing it. And it might seem successful and it might be successful even, but I'm not enjoying it. I'm not enjoying what I'm doing. And what keeps me motivated is the idea that every day I wake up and I do something amazing. And I want to keep doing that and keep doing that for myself and keep doing that for other people. And that's what keeps me motivated to keep going. There's been many times where I started, for example, management, and I realized I didn't love management. What I wanted to do was develop artists and get them from point A to point B, but that doesn't always mean management. Management, a lot of times, is very much like babysitting. That's what a lot of people say, and it's a fact. You're there, you're somebody's everything, right? They depend on you for their personal well-being, their professional well-being, so you become, very much like a parental figure, and I don't enjoy that. So there's times where I've given, and you sit back and you think, okay, maybe this is not the path that I'm meant to be on. Maybe this is not the project or the artist or the talent I'm meant to work on. And you just may have to make a decision of whether you want to keep going forward or not. And I don't fall in despair. For me, it's very much of I don't want to say calculated, but it's very much of like okay, if this is not it, what is? Who I am today is not who I am. Like, this is not the me that I want to be. This is not the me that I know I am deep down inside. This is not a me that I was a year ago or a month ago or 5 months ago. This is not who I want to be, period. And once you identify that and acknowledge that and say, this is not the space that I want to occupy for myself, you find ways to get out from that situation. And it doesn't mean quitting your job. That doesn't mean like leaving. That means, what are the steps that I'm going to take in order for me to build my confidence back up? But what happens is that a lot of people are so afraid of coming to terms with the fact that they're not in a place, they're not the person they want to be, or they're not in a place where they want to be, and they're afraid of the repercussions. Because for somebody who is at a job, for example, and they're not happy and they're losing their confidence, they want to build it back up, that might mean walking away from that job. And not everybody's ready for that conversation, right? Like, people have bills, they have children, they have rent, they have things they have to pay. So it's not easy to say, I'm not happy, I'm not confident, this is not the person I want to be, I need to walk away from this. But unfortunately, so what happens is people get stuck and stay in those roles for a very long period of time. And by the time they're truly ready to get out, it's like they've spent so much of their life, they've poured so much of their life and their energy into something, they don't even know where to start. So for me to build the confidence back up, is the first thing is identifying that something needs to be fixed. It doesn't feel good, obviously, right? Like, you pour into something, whether that is like, forget the passion, forget the personal commitment. You pour resources into people. Artists are people, projects are people, because they're tied to a person. And you pour resources, you pour relationships into them, and then people don't value. There's no value placed on that, right? And that sucks. And it's a shitty feeling. And I can, it's obviously, it's like, I don't even know there's no other word to describe but the fact that it sucks. Like I said before, like, I don't dwell in it. For me, it's like, okay, this was a cool experience. What did I get out of it? Did I learn anything from it? I don't look at anything like quitting or like a failure. I look at everything as gathering information. So let's say I'm in a situation where I worked with an artist for 3 years or 2 years or 5 months, whatever it is, and I poured resources and relationships and time and passion and personal commitment, and in return this artist doesn't value my opinion or doesn't want to sign a contract or whatever it is. It could be as specific as getting into a partnership, or as general as they don't respect me, at the end of the day, did you learn something from that experience? And if you did, then for me, it's like, I'm happy. I've seen success at the highest level for other people, not necessarily for myself. And I have experienced it to some extent, but not to the extent that I know I can. But I've seen it for other people. I've seen other people, and I don't live my life through others. And I find that in the music industry especially, people live their life through others, through the private jets and the private yachts and the whatever experiences they're going through. And it's almost like it's theirs, but it really isn't. So for me, it's like, I've seen all of that, I've experienced all of it, and it doesn't gas me the way it would some other people, because I'm like, that's great, that's somebody else's success. I'm happy for them, and I'm thankful to be here, to be surrounded by all of this, and it's inspiring. But at the end of the day, it's not mine. Some people say that you don't have any time for anything when you have a kid. You find a way to make the time. I have found you find a way to make the time. It comes at a cost, of course, of like your, I don't want to say your peace, but like the time you have to yourself. Like, if you're a person that likes solitude, that likes to like spend time with their thoughts, that likes to think out loud, sometimes it's you have to find a way to make time for that and everything else. So that becomes a bit of a challenge, but it hasn't slowed me down in any way. I know some people say kids slow you down. It doesn't slow me down in any way. If anything, it has created an even greater desire to be successful, or to do some really dope shit, or to just keep hustling, I guess. I've had to go for work trips a lot, to New York or to Toronto, and he has taken care, like he's with Charles, with our son, all the time. And like, that is it's not my me time because I'm working, but you also get a moment to breathe, right? Like, I have a lot of like other parent friends where like, I just want a minute to just have a cup of coffee in peace. Or like, you see memes on Instagram and it's like, wow, all parents go through the same things. And all the time I say I'm so lucky that I get to have a cup of coffee if I want at some point, or even if it's not that I'm traveling for work. And I need a moment. Like both my husband and I are very good in the sense that like, hey, I need a minute to go and do this or that, even if that is just having solitude for 30 minutes. It's hard. It's hard because you have disagreements with your partner over the littlest things, you know? So it's just a matter of like knowing that you're a team and knowing that you're on the same team. That's the biggest thing. Yeah, the relationship definitely, I don't want to say suffers, but it changes. Like, you know, you're two people, then you're three people. And in some relationships where there's more children, and other, you know, or children from previous relationships, whatever it is, like you now have to consider that it is more than just two people. So it changes. And you have to change with it. And you have to have a very solid understanding with your partner that you're a team and you're on the same team, never against each other. And that's basically it. He's a baby. He doesn't know. He's discovering things. Like everything is new. My son loves to play with water, loves it. Will spill water all over the house, all over the floor. Every chance he gets, he'll spill water on himself all the time, blow bubbles. And like you want to get upset, but again, he's discovering these new things that to us is like, oh, it's water. Whereas for him, it's like, wow, what is this? What does this do? You know? So you have to constantly remind yourself that one, they're babies, and two, they're always learning, and three, you know, you love them unconditionally. And patience, yeah, patience is one thing that I have found I have a lot of, and I didn't think I had this much patience. You get in a relationship and you're like, okay, we're going to be married, we're going to have children, whatever your process is, right? That was mine, whatever somebody else's process is. And you don't realize that you become a different person when you have a child, yourself and your partner, right? Because now you're like, again, you have to be patient. You have to constantly show love. You have this person that's constantly needs you, and you have to be okay with them being needy and clingy all the time, which I love. Like I can't get enough of that. So I think of the relationship back, let's say 5 years ago, and I'm like, wow, that was such a different phase. I was such a different person than I am now. Not any less loving, not any less like any less of a partner, just completely different. So yeah, it changes, as it should, in my opinion, because if it stays the same, then like, how do you make room for somebody else that needs unconditional love? My dreams are changing because my dreams years ago, my dreams were to find artists and help break them or develop them or, you know, yeah, I mean, that's how I got in the music industry in the first place. It was really just finding talent and saying, you're dope. Why aren't you bigger than you already are? You need to be bigger, and finding ways to, like I said, to break them. And in that process, I was involved in very much of the nitty-gritty of all of the, you know, everything that happens from point A to point B to put a song out or to put a project out or whatever the case is. And what I truly enjoy now is strategic development. I don't know if that's even like, it's not a title or a role. It's just more so like I want to help people grow. I've moved so much in the past 4 years, and my stuff was into boxes, and I wanted to unbox it and put it away. And I looked back at, like, I think I had like old concert tickets, and I found some of Fredo Santana's paperwork for Savage Squad when we launched the label. And I was like, oh my God, the CDs. I looked at all of the prints, and I just was like, I can't believe how much I've done in my life. Like, you know, some people have been in the same position for 12 years. I have been through so much in 12 years, you know? So, but I'm reminded, I'm thankful, you know, that integrity, that small word, that word integrity, that has kept my relationship strong for years. I don't think there's a person I've worked with that I don't still have a good rapport with. And I'm reminded, thankfully, of all the stuff that I've done every day by somebody that I've worked with. You know, I realize that no one really stops to say, hold on, I got you. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you save money. I'm going to help you make money. And people don't want to share their resources. And if you ask me 5 years later, how do I feel about my mentees at Girl Connected sharing my resources? I will say fucking amazing. You know, people are afraid that you lose something by sharing your contact, but you don't. You gain. The only thing is you just want to make sure that the people that you're opening your contacts to are reliable people, which is what the whole purpose of me starting the program. I I'm like, I have a wealth of information, a wealth of contacts that I can't use every single day in my life. And there's people, qualified people, who are trying to make something of themselves, trying to go somewhere in the industry that could benefit from knowing this person or that person. And here I am hoarding these contacts, you know? They're not, nothing is going, everything's just going to catch dust. Like I can't take it with me. So that's why I started the program, and I am happy and excited to see my mentees thrive. And when we find out that somebody got a job or got placed with someone, or they're working in a particular place and they're working with somebody that I know, or I meet someone in the street who's like, oh, great, not in the street, but in general, and they're like, oh my God, I work with this person or this girl from Girl Connected and they're incredible. My heart is so full. Like I am so happy about that. Through doing that program and seeing how much someone can grow just from 6 months of training or opportunity or leadership or guidance, that is what has made me want to grow businesses. And then even just working at the label and working with partners, label partners that are on the outside, signing their artists to major labels, seeing all the stuff that they're lacking, seeing all the structure that they're lacking, and knowing that shit could be so much better, that you could have your shit in order a lot more than just like, here's an artist, here's some music, bye. I was like, more recently than anything, it's been about how can I help a business grow? How can I help this incredible brand? Or how can I help this it can be an artist. It's just not specific to like the day-to-day of an artist growing, But yeah, so that's how Girl Connected impacted my dreams. It was that in combination with everything else, For anybody out there who has second thoughts about being a mentor, don't, you could be changing somebody's life. You could be shaping somebody's career. And to hear my mentees come and tell me how excited they are that they got a new job, or one of our mentees recently just met me and told me about a presentation she did for Remix, and she did it so well, and she was so excited, and she was like, honestly, like the tools and the resources and the experience that I got from Girl Connected, that's what, it's like I had an edge over everybody else, and I'm so truly grateful to you. And she told me that she was in a fan club for one of the artists that I used to work with like 12 years ago. She's like, I was 12 when I was in that fan club, and I was like, I'm going to be like her one day. And she had never told me this, and she had been in our program for 2 years now, and she had never told me this, and I was like, I wanted to cry, because I was like, that's so, I'm so thankful that the integrity that I've been so adamant about having and being what's guided me over the years has kept other women inspired by me for 12 years, I did a conversation one time, and I said, and I put my 10 quotes, I forgot what I called it. And one of those was integrity should be your guiding compass. And I'm writing a book, actually. So, it's written. It's a part 2. It's personal development. And one of the chapters is integrity should be your guiding compass. And I want to be able to sleep at night knowing that I did everything right. That's honestly what it comes down to. I don't want to compromise myself. I don't want to do anything that makes me feel uneasy. And for me, it's always been about integrity. My dad is the same way, and he wants to be fair and honest. And in this day and age, sometimes it's not, unfortunately, it's like that could be, a detriment because you're too honest or too fair. But I want to feel good when I go to sleep at night. I want to know that I did the right thing. And if something doesn't feel right in my gut, I change it. So integrity has been my guiding compass for as long as I can remember. It's really tough for people to lose confidence and get that back. And if you're in that space in your life, finding your way out is so important. And not allowing other people's energy to taint your own, because that's a real thing. And I didn't realize how it really was to be surrounded by people, to be drained by other people. I've always been so protective of my peace and my space that I never really understood when people would, even at panels, at conversations, when we interview people for Girl Connected, even our mentees, and when they're talking about things like, not mental health necessarily, just like being exhausted, like mentally exhausted. I'm like, yeah, I get that, but I always could time out if I needed to. And I recently understood what that truly means, and it's really sad that other people can affect your way of being so deeply to shake the confidence out of you, and that's unfair. And for anybody that goes through that, I just really hope that they find their way out of that path. And for me, like I said before, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but for Girl Connected, the one thing that we tell all of our mentees is figure out where you want to be and figure out the steps you need to take to get there. And hopefully that gets you out. And that's that.